Welcome back to episode 3, take 3, or take 2, because I just rambled and laid in bed for like 3 minutes, basically just saying the most dumb bull crap ever. So, welcome back to episode 3, take 2. Today's topic is self confidence. Um, I think that self confidence, what you can really, self confidence in the quest for finding your purpose. I think that finding your purpose really depends on um, who you are and what your life aspirations are. I mean, I know so many people who believe their passion is this, but then 5 years later their passion changes, or their purpose, or whatever they think their purpose is. It always changes, and I think that something that they can work towards is just understanding that it might not be something that you're always or something that you might want to happen in your life, and it might not happen. But I think an encouragement is always just to really be um, present in the moment and not really getting caught up in what everyone else is thinking and what they want for you and how they want your life to be played out, because in the end it doesn't matter. Their opinion doesn't matter about how you live your life. Like, if you're at school, for example, and someone's just saying some dumb crap, or they're criticizing you, or they're judging you, or they're saying you should do this because this is what I think you're good at, and you don't believe in that, well then fuck them. Because if that's what you feel like you're not really called to do, then why should you do it? There's so many people out there who are telling other people to do something when they're not listening to their own advice and they're not doing anything actually. I mean, you lose so much energy by focusing on somebody else rather than focusing on yourself. I mean, if I was the most perfect person in the whole world, I would try to spend more of my time not focusing on myself. Oh, fuck. I try to spend more of my time more focusing on myself than others, because spreading hatred and trying to put bad energy into the world, it doesn't lead to good things, because it's always just going to leave you drained by the end of the day. You're always going to be tired, and you're always going to feel like you have less energy, because negativity really takes something out of you that positivity can instill in you. Like, there's so many times where I'm walking on the street, or someone just, I'm in the halls at school and someone just says something mean. And it's like, well, why are you saying that? There's no reason for you to say that, but they just feel like it. There's just some people out there who are more inclined to just say something mean for the sake of saying something. And there's plenty of people who also just talk to talk. They just talk for no reason to make conversation. Yeah, that's fine, but I'm saying there's people out there who just talk to talk, either to put themselves up, or they just want to annoy somebody, because those are the most manipulative people. Those people who are going to try to put you down in order to boost themselves up, um, to either put themselves in a better situation, or literally to remove them. I mean, you can be annoying enough where other people don't like you, and maybe that's what you want. But at the same time, there's other moments where it's like, well, you make other people not like you, and you might feel like, what's wrong with me? But it's like, well, if you're talking all the time just to talk, and you're just looking for people to always give you attention, it's the most insufferable thing ever. If you're always seeking some attention from somebody else, it doesn't sit well with a lot of people, because not everyone wants to hear your fucking life story every time you sit down and talk with them. Some conversation is fine. I'm not saying any conversation at all is bad. But I'm saying when you freaking give your whole life story, especially to just random people or people who don't really care, then stop sharing your life story. Okay? Just don't. And it's kind of crazy for me to say this, but it's just like, I feel like some people just talk so much, and they waste their own energy and they waste their own time by trying to tell other people how worthy they are of giving their attention, or how important they are that everyone has to give attention to them. I mean, like, those people don't really take a moment to understand that There's people who are around them who are living just as much significant lives as the next person. I mean, it's really hard to kind of grasp that concept, but when those people talk so much and kind of have this obliviousness, well, it gets people to not like you or secretly be nice to you because it's like, well, I'm living a significant life too. And if you are demanding to talk about your own life 24/7, then it's like, well, number one, it doesn't make me feel wanted. And number two, it's just kind of insufferable. I mean, I think it's kind of arrogant for me to say that no one wants to be around them, but it's kind of hard to be around them when they're only talking about themselves. Being extremely self centered isn't going to help anyone else. I think that it can bring some problems when you're not really understanding what situation you're in and you're just kind of like rambling. I mean, would you talk like that when you're at a funeral? No. So it's like, why are you rambling on and on in a class? Or, why are you just rambling? I think that it gets to a point. It gets to a point where it's like, well, hold on. Take a minute to understand where you're at. Why the hell are you talking so much? And also, on another note, I'm gonna say that filmmaking is really a beautiful thing. I mean, it takes so many people to make one film, even if it's Pluto Nash in 3D, which is a great film. Or like, Obsession, for example. I use Obsession again. Obsession was such a great movie because it did things right. They understood the importance of making something good for the purpose of making something good. They didn't really have that money aspect really. The money aspect wasn't really a big concern for them. I mean, when Marvel and these big studios make a movie, they might think about story, but that's up for the screenwriters and the directors and all the creatives to make the ideas. But then these big studios, all they're focused on is making money and then how can I make even more money? For example, a lot of Marvel movies that Disney does in Star Wars, they produce and generate these type of films, but then you see what happens. They make rides at them. They make rides of them at Disneyland and Disney World, and then they make merchandise and they sell that. It's all a ploy to make money, and that's why I think that type of cinema is really what people don't want. They want something that's actually tangible. They want something that they can feel was produced from the heart, and a lot of people put in 110% to make the movie. When it's something like a Marvel movie or Supergirl, for an example, just came out and it's not very popular. The reason it's not very popular is because people there wasn't really much of a demand for that, and a lot of people are getting fed up with these superhero movies because they understand that it's rushed corporate slop, basically. Um, I think there wasn't a demand for Obsession, but Curry Barker did a really good job because he targeted what Gen Z was feeling in that moment. And that's what was so popular with Gen Z. And because it was popular with Gen Z, then it got spread to millennials, Gen X's, and all the other people. Maybe even baby boomers, maybe. I don't know. And I think it's kind of difficult to understand the trends of Gen Z just because they're constantly changing and things are always different. And I think that's what Corey Barker just did so well. He understood that this is one topic that maybe Gen Z is feeling the most. And then I'm going to highlight that and keep going with what I think I think Gen Z is feeling. And Curry Barker is a genius for that. Where on the other hand, like I was watching his skits the other day. The reason why Curry Barker and Cooper Tomlinson's skits went so well was because number one, they had good audio. A lot of skits nowadays, it's far away from my mouth, but a lot of skits nowadays are just using their phone mic or the audio isn't very good. The reason why Curry Barker did good was because he took pride in his skits. He took a moment to pause and work on his skits, like color grading to a point. Some of them were color graded, maybe all of them. I can't even remember. And good audio. He treated these skits like a full-time production. And I'm not talking about like those Drewski skits or like those skits you see on the internet. I think it's those skits went to a different level because he treated it to the same production value that he would have made for maybe Obsession, but definitely for like Milk and Cereal or something, or maybe it was even better. And I think, two, which is the most important part, regardless if you're Curry Barker or regardless if you're making skits, the key to writing something that would be a good film or a good movie, good short film, good feature film is good writing. And it's something that you have to be really good at to be somewhat successful. You have to be a good writer and you have to learn how to tell stories and keep the audience engaged the whole time. Because if you lose their focus for 1 second, they're gone. They're gone. They'll leave. Like I think I read this quote by Curry Barker. It was like the YouTube audience is begging to leave, and you have to give them a reason to stay. And I think that's what Curry Barker did great. I mean, of course, it was in theaters, so not a lot of people would leave unless if they were scared. But I think he did that well by making a bunch of YouTube videos and understanding what his audience wanted. Because if you just target a certain niche and that niche gets popular and word of mouth can spread far enough, then you can get people who aren't really interested into horror or they don't watch many horror movies or they're not really big into movies. Word of mouth is so important because you're getting these people who are targeted in a certain niche. They think it's wonderful, a masterpiece, right? I thought it was a masterpiece. And then it's spreading to people who might not necessarily watch Obsession on their own. Some friends could text their other friends and be like, hey, let's watch Obsession this weekend. Even though normally they wouldn't watch a horror movie and they definitely wouldn't get their friends to watch it. But I think that's what Obsession did well. They understood the trends that Gen Z is watching movies again. They understood the trends that the key to making a good movie is just good writing and having the actors, of course, performance. Indy Navarrete did great. Everybody on set did great. I'm just saying that if you have a good story, it can kind of overpower anything else that any normal guy would nitpick, right? Oh, the lighting wasn't good. Was the story good? Was the audio good? Was the story good? Oh, I don't think the audio was good. Well, was the storytelling at least good? Wow, this lighting and the audio and everything just felt so well, the sound design, but the story wasn't that good. Like, I think that regardless if I'm shooting on an iPhone like I am now, or if I'm shooting with a full decked out cinema camera, I think it doesn't. I sounded British right there. Camera. Oi, mate. Oi, mate, I'm British. It's Tuesday, innit? Oi, bellend. Right? But I'm saying, like, it doesn't even matter. I just have to tell a good story. Because people don't necessarily watch a movie for the cinematography or the audio, they watch it for the story. I feel it'd be quite boring if you just went into a movie theater and it was a tutorial on how to get good lighting and audio. I think that belongs on YouTube. But if you went to the cinema to watch a story being told, I mean, I think that in order to tell a good story, you kind of have to captivate the audience early on and give them a reason to watch that movie. Marketing is key. The reason why Obsession spread so well from word of mouth is that they did marketing, but it was kind of passive marketing where they weren't necessarily pushing too many billboards and stuff like that, but they made their own Instagram and they had a bunch of creators. Maybe they paid them, but a bunch of creators saw it early and um, they left their reviews. Like I know specifically, I before I watched Obsession, I made sure to go into Reddit because I didn't want to get any unexpected jump scares because I'm kind of a little squeamish for that. But like even word of mouth can spread through Reddit, which is out of all places, which is just crazy. But I think that was a pretty significant part of how Obsession became so successful because I'm sure there's plenty of movies out there that had even better writing than Obsession, which is hard to do, but they might not have had the marketing or the equipment. I think equipment matters if you're putting a movie in the cinema, but if you're just starting out making short films, I don't think it matters that much. I think it's really negligible and it's very insignificant in what you're trying to do. But also at the same time, it's like, well, man, there's so many stories out there that have great writing that are made into movies or that are made into short films that are really great, and they're just unrecognized. Maybe they're posted on YouTube, but the storytelling is key. I think it takes a great amount of motivation just to start. That's why I'm doing these kind of daily video logs, because this is a process of how I can start creating an idea, ideating and trying to come up with new ideas every single day, because I think that's how I can keep myself creative and in the know and constantly learning. I'm trying to learn, editing past like what I was just doing for Roblox videos or something like that, and color grading and sound design and audio, and kind of how to build suspense, what makes a good horror movie. I mean, how can I write a good character? What is a juxtaposition? Like, I'm learning all of this stuff, and it's funny because this is all about English class. Like at school, I'm not too fond about writing essays, and I'm not sure anyone really is, but these kind of the baseline of what I'm learning in my English class, it's kind of ironic, is exactly what's being used in screenwriting and filmmaking. And it's like, well, geez, I wish I paid attention a little bit more. Maybe I should have asked my teacher on how can I start screenwriting. I mean, I started this kind of late. I mean, and I've only picked this up a month, and my passion is just constantly blazing. There's not a day that goes by now where I'm not thinking about what's the next idea, what can I do for this short film, how can I make this good. And I think that I can do it. I touch base on this every single video so far of a self-belief. There's too many people out there who are worrying about what other people think, so they never make something. And it's like, well, how can you expect to be great? How can you expect to make something great if you never, number one, believed in yourself that you could make something great? And number two, that you're kind of cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself out of an opportunity just because you were scared. There, and I think it's kind of easier said than done, but no one cares. Literally, no one cares. And the people who are clowning you on the internet or who have something mean to say are just clearly something is just not going right in their life, and you can hope that their life gets better. But negativity is always easier to do than positivity. But there's just so many negative people out there because they're either coping with something in their life, which is really rough, or maybe they had a bad day, or maybe they do that to kind of let it all out, kind of vent. I mean, I know there's plenty of people who just spew insults and do all that stuff in order to make themselves feel better. And I guess good on them to a certain point, but it gets to a point. These this is what separates really creative people and then the geniuses, basically, because you have really creative people, but they might be scared to release something, they might be scared to post something. And then you have the geniuses who might be scared to post something, might be scared to release something, but they release it anyway because they understand that this is part of the process. I think once you understand that you have to be willing to be embarrassed and be made fun of and insulted, maybe in your face, is the point when you can realize, well, this is part of the process and it kind of needed to happen. Maybe it won't happen, but if it does happen, you can acknowledge that it's something that needed to happen and is part of the process. I mean, there's no creative out there who, on their first piece of work, became extremely successful. I mean, it's highly low. Everything that you're doing new, you're constantly trying to find something that you can improve on. I mean, it's failure, and then you learn from your failures. I think that's the best virtue to live by. You have to have self-belief, number one. Believe that you can do it and prove everyone wrong. And number two, when you have this self-belief, it allows you to kind of break free from what everyone else thinks. What I mean by that is when people are telling you you can't do it, you kind of have to tell them to shut up, because they're not in your shoes, and everyone is working at a different pace. I got to be honest, I don't like those people who put you down because they think that you're working slow or you're way too behind, so might as well quit. Don't quit. You have to keep persisting. Persistence is also key, which can also be translated to discipline. You have to believe in yourself, you have to have the courage to post, and you have to have the discipline to keep working at it, because you will constantly improve every time you fail and learn from it. You're gonna fail. I'm gonna fail miserably, and I hope I can learn from it. And I think it's something that really plagues Gen Z. The fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what other people think. It creates so much anxiety in our heads. And I subconsciously do it. I keep telling myself, don't fear, don't fear, don't fear. But as humans, we are going to fear no matter what. I think that's what separates the people, smart people from geniuses. I think that's what separates them, because they understand no one cares and they shouldn't. And if someone does care, the creative shouldn't care. Maybe constructive criticism is great. I think that's great. I think insults are great too, because at least it took someone time out of someone's day to say something hateful than say nothing at all. I think feedback is king. Any type of feedback is king, in my opinion. I think it can really help in the process of determining what makes a good video, what makes a good short film, what makes a good feature, what makes a good movie, basically. And I hope that someday I can make a movie, make a great short film. You can make a short film in a week. You can release it in 2. If only it was that easy, right? Well, my goal, don't be afraid, because being afraid is the way that many creative people out there have been kind of silenced. By being creative, it also instills fear. But the people who are hyper successful in their art is because they created, they failed, and they learned from it, and they weren't scared to try again. They weren't discouraged. You cannot be discouraged. You have to keep working. So that's it for episode 3. I'll be back tomorrow. And I'll keep filming, and we'll see where it gets me. I will be hyper successful, and no one can tell me otherwise.